Hello. Thank you for watching. Whoops. My name is Rafael. This is Joaquim. We made this research together. We're going to present like some fancy hacks in Cisco routers. The name was MIMOSAWRITERROUTER. You're going to see why this name. This is a little bit about us. We're going to talk about abusing EPC. It's a functionality on Cisco routers to collect a huge data or to collect interesting data. This is my Joaquim handle. This is my handle. You can see it. Why this name? We use this website. The name is NSA Name Generator. We find let's find some fancy name to your talk. And Joaquim discovered this website. Come on.
We have no idea about the name, so we try to find something interesting in the internet, so we can find that website it's more related with the fancy name that Snowden leaked from NSA slides. So just access the site and generate a fancy name and have a good name for a hacking presentation. That's fancy, yeah.
Try different times, and we got Mimosa. And Mimosa is like a call in Brazil. And you see what a call in the next slides. Let's go. It is the agenda about us, introduction and motivation to this research. And a little bit about EPC, what is EPC, and evil, how we make our approach to abuse this functionality. And Mimosa, our approach, we have some demo, potential, and for threat intelligence, shooter, and conclusion. This is me. You're going to follow me on Twitter. I'm a CTO at Strategy. And Joaquim.
Hi, I already know about my name. I am a security consultant at a very small company in Australia, so I fly tons of hours to be here. So I'm working for Securus Global, and I'm security consultant. It's just penetration test. And I have some just promotion here. I have some open positions in Sydney. So if you want to move to a Sun City, so let me know. Drop me an email or just a Twitter, and we can talk about that. Okay. So go ahead.
First, some information about our talk. We are not exploiting a zero-day on Cisco device, of course. You are aware of another method like GRE tunnels, port mirroring, lawful interception to collect Cisco data. This is an automated tool to help pen testers or threat intelligence team to collect interesting data in a controlled environment, of course. This is really useful for threat intelligence data gathering in customers, of course, if you have access to the router. And of course, you have to get enable privilege on the router to use our framework called Mimosa.
So it's very important to say again that there is no 0 days on Cisco. And of course, I'm not crazy and share a 0 day in Cisco because no more free bugs, of course. So it's very important to say because we talking about the same presentation in the Infiltrate conference in Miami that this year's, and the Cisco trying to reach out to us because they think that we have a 0 day in the iOS. So no 0 days. It's in that point, at this point of the framework is just more related with post-exploitation functionality, post-exploitation tool. We should have the password before you can start running the tool.
Yep. This is a timeline. In 2009, Joaquim talked H2HE. It's a good conference in Brazil about GRNet tunnels. And I said, hey, Joaquim, let me show that Cisco have a feature called EPC for troubleshooting networking. And you can collect a huge amount of data. And 2010, 11, 12, 13, hack the plant. Of course, it's not hacking the plant. It's more hacking the customers. And in 2005, of course, this year, we released Mimosa in the first version in Infiltrate conference in Miami. Of course, the code we're going to be a lot of updates in the course of this year.
And the second release, it's here in CONFidence.
Yeah, the second release was here in CONFidence, and you have a lot of updates like brute forcing and some useful to use Mimosa. What is EPC, Embedded Packet Capture? It's ability to capture IPv4 and PVC packets on router. Is a flexible method for specifying the capture buffer and size type. You're going to see this on the next slides. As I said, you need exact level commands to start and stop the capture, and to capture, of course. And you can show the capture directly on router, but of course is a lot of data. You can see the data showing like matrix. You can see that, and this is the better useful. Like it's a facility to export the packet capture in PCAP format. Of course, Cisco help the network IT guys to make some troubleshooting on Cisco on his network to see what happened if this computer is not communicating with other computer, and he use this functionality to see that.
Yeah, this information here comes from the Cisco documentation.
Yeah.
So in the next slide, we show to you our approach, what we can see when you read the documentation.
Yeah, and yeah, the ability to capture is, of course, is the sniffing. A flexible method, we can choose different buffer size and more on buffer to capture point. We can capture a lot of any interface that exists in Cisco routers, or any network or any protocols. You can capture everything in the router.
You can define different points of capture. If you you want sniffing just the interface 1, you can sniff just the interface 1. If you want the interface 2, just the interface 2, or you can sniff all interfaces. Yeah, you can create ACLs to sniffing, of course, web, POP, and different protocols. This is the exact level. I told every about that. And you can show the content of the sniffing on the router, directly on the router. This is the main string here. A facility to export the packet capture in PCAP format to a remote location. That was the concern about to use this functionality, because you can capture, of course, a lot of packets, but you can export this capture to a remote location and analyze the content of the PCAP format, the PCAP file. And extensible infrastructure for enabling packet capture points. All your network belong to us, of course, because you can capture everything on the network besides the Cisco router. How EPC works? You can see. No. Oh yeah. Maybe you have some problem. Here in this first picture here, it's a command. It's more like that. Wait a minute. Yep. Yeah. No.
These are some comments to. I cannot show this because you can download the slides, but this is the command to capture the buffer directly on the router. You can create a buffer with a size. You have, of course, you have a limit on the router to capture the information. It's like 2 megabytes or 4 megabytes in maximum.
You have a flow to define the capture points in the Cisco routers. Of course, when you define a capture buffer, you can choose the size of that buffer, and you need to keep in mind that the size of the buffer it's related with the flash memory for the router. See, if you have some router with more flash memory, you can define a biggest buffer. So, and you can define the type. In the next slides, we're talking about the difference between linear and circular.
Here in the second image, it was define a capture point. As we said, you can cap both ingress and egress, and in and out, or any interface. And then before, you can associate the capture point to the capture buffer. And when
Okay, in this second image here, you just define the direction of the sniff. If the traffic in, out, or both. In this case, we use both.
Yeah, it was both.
Yeah,
in
okay.
and out. Everything that passes in the router we capture. In the second image here, you can, as I said, you can associate our capture point to our buffer, and we start to sniffing. Here is the difference about linear buffer and a circular buffer. Linear buffer, when the buffer is full, the capture will stop, and this capture point stop, and it is ready to exporting the capture point to a remote location. And the circular buffer will be overwritten with a new packet. When you start a circular buffer, and you capture when it's full off, the buffer is overwritten and full off until you stop, go to the router and send the command to stop the capture.
From the point of view the penetration test, we need to stay stealth in the network. So for us, linear is the best method because you don't cause some performance issue in the router. Because if you choose circular, when the traffic start to pass through the router, you can the memory consumption grow up. Of course, depend of the network traffic growing up as up. Yeah,
but in our test, we start capturing like 11 buffer points, and the router is still working good. No slowing.
It's a good router, yeah, trust me. Yeah.
No slowing, but it's okay.
And the second problem about circular, when you can when the overwrite the packet, you can
lost the data.
You can lost the data because the buffer it's overwrite. So some point the data go overwrite the some interesting data.
Yeah, this is the as you can see. Of course, you can see nothing, but it's a command to show this capturing directly on the fly, directly on the router command line. Of course, it's not reliable. You can see anything like that because you can see a lot of matrix.
Yeah, at that point it's very important to say the EPC it's a feature from troubleshooting problems in Cisco routers.
Yeah.
So some kind of people with more skills in Cisco routers can read this and know what happened in the router. So in that point you can show you can dump the buffer content in the screen. Yeah. But it's hexadecimal and something in some stuffs in the Cisco communication need to read the documentation and know something what it is, because for us it's like Chinese like a Polish.
No, this is depend, of course, the size of the buffer. If you are making Cisco troubleshooting on network and you capture like 3K buffer, of course you can read that on the Cisco line. If you have a 4 megabyte buffer and you show in the Cisco, you cannot see, of course. Here is the screen that the most important screen that shows that how many options you can export the capture format, like Flash, directly to the router. Juniper, this is working Juniper routers too, because Juniper routers is better because they have a hard drive directly on the router, and you can export all this content directly to the hard drive of Juniper router. But here you see FTP, HTTP, HTTPS. You can use HTTPS when you make pen tests, of course, to not expose the client data to internet. Mm-hmm. You can use RCP, SCP, and TFTP. And here, it's a command to monitor, capture, buffer. The name of the buffer was Mimosa, and the tag export to a FTP. Blah, 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 and you can put the name and write in Mimosa pickup. And then you get all of these pickups, or to automate this process to a lot of routers.
That is how the EPC works in the regular way.
Yeah.
So we're working in an approach to develop a tool to automate, to make this exploitation more easy. So some pen tests, some projects we have a default password that we can exploit tons of routers in the same network. If you try to connect one by one, it's very...
It's important to tell you that you have a lot of scenarios that you make a pen test and you access router, like make some brute forcing and you get weak passwords, or when you inside on the customer network and you find some shares that have backup from Cisco configuration routers and you break the password and access the router. And I think every time I make a pen test and access a Cisco router, what can I do with this router? Because I know that pass a lot of information, a lot of user-free information about this router, but what can I do? As I said in the second slide or third slide, I don't remember, you have a lot of GRNet tunnels, a lot of techniques, but these techniques you can create an infrastructure to receive the data. And this is so heavy to create that, and you expose the customer data to this infrastructure. But here, use this functionality you can do with easily hacking.
As I say before, it's not the best way to capture data from Cisco routers.
Yeah, of course.
It's the more easy way to capture the data because you need to have just the credentials for access the router and external server to receive that packet, that PCAP file.
As we said, the main problem here is the export the capture to a remote location. I don't know why Cisco used that, because when you make some troubleshooting in network, you can see this computer was not communication with this other computer, and I can export this inside my network. Why Cisco permit that to export this to a remote location? It's strange, of course, and we get this little point to create the Mimosa. And this is a good you do not have a way to disable or EPC or to disable the export or remote location. This is a feature. You stay in the router, and you cannot do nothing to that. Of course, you can protect your router to the passwords, make strong passwords,
put your router behind a firewall, ACL or ACL, to deny the export to remote repository.
But even if you create a ACL to block that, if you are an enable router, you are a root on the router, you can disable this ACL and use the EPC to make the export to a remote location. So that's the framework. You have a command center.
That's the flow of the Mimosa.
You have a command center here, and you can add a lot of routers or one router, depends how many routers you get on your pen test. Here is the collectors. This is the servers that you can receive the PCAP files. This is Mimosa parser, and you get a lot of credentials, credit cards, emails, VoIP files, key files. This is so useful for threat intelligence, as we can see in the next slides, because we find a lot of information, a lot of useful information for our customers. Like when we make a pen test, we discovered that our customers were infected with a lot of botnets, a lot of problems, and this is good, of course. Of course, you can see nothing. This is the screenshot of framework from Mimosa. Here you can configure like
Mimosa is a command line tool.
Yeah, command line tool.
Write in Python.
Like Metaexploit.
Yeah, it's like a Metaexploit, and we have a backend MongoDB to persistence. You can insert how many routers you have in the database and start to collect and stop.
The pickup file is still on the MongoDB database.
Yeah.
Here is the main tool to automate all of things that you can add some like 10 routers and start the capture for all these 10 routers, or stop the capture for a lot of these 10 routers, and export these 10 routers directly in the same time.
Just don't think the PCAPs don't come to the database. Go to the Elasticsearch server.
Yeah.
And you can parse that data. In the Mongo state, just the informations about configuration, IP.
Yeah, credentials.
Yes.
Here is use Mimosa how to detect threats for threat intelligence. You can detect user agents, of course, to see what the browsers that customers inside the client network using for client-side attacks. Of course, you can use T-Shark, oh bro, this is the command line. Of course, it's pretty easy to use. Just type that.
Of course, you can use some tools like network mine,
of course.
net witness investigator. It's more.
We choose to
It's more fancy tools.
Yeah, we choose to use T-Shark and Bro because we can automate these things. Here you can get a lot of HTTP requests from the PCAP. With this file, with these results, of course, they're all HTTP requests. You can make a lot of scripts to get the HTTP requests and find for web application bugs like SQL injection and other bugs like web applications.
Yeah, of course. I talk about the Elasticsearch. All that processed informations you can insert in Elasticsearch with Kibana and something like that. You can have some beautiful dashboards, and you can work with this information. It's in an executive level.
Yeah, in a manager level, you can create graphics, metrics to show the client that in your network you have a lot of Internet Explorer in version 6, in version 7, in version 9, and you can show the client that. This is the resume of a lot of information that you can get in the PCAP file, like HTTP request, GeoIP location, HTTP request again, sorry, DNS request. You can make. We made a script to get all of the DNS requests and send to VirusTotal and see what happened. VirusTotal showed to us that was dangerous or not. You can get the user agents for client-side attacks, as I said. FTP credentials, you can get pub credentials, cookies, you can get everything, of course, because you stay with the raw data of the
When you talk about the internal penetration test, cookies is very good for us because you can work with cookie rejecting, something like that. It's, of course, that credential is clear text credential, so if the customer or if the client uses
SSL, you get the traffic, but you cannot decrypt, of course. You stay with the file, but if you can decrypt this SSL file, it's going to be good. Yep. And you can extract files. This is the funny part. We create this script for Bro. You can see nothing, of course. But it's a good script to extract from PCAP files like CSV, HTML, EMG, TXT, XML.
Binary formats.
Binary formats. Here, in your test, we extracting some Chinese attacks from Flash, and maybe it's a 0-day from Flash. We got it on using Mimosa, and you get a lot of samples from Trojans to use in the customer's network. That's good for threat intelligence, as I said. And imagine a scenario that the customers or the client give access to the router and said, hey, look my router, and use this framework or another framework or this approach to detect the threat here in my network. And you can collect all of this data, export to a remote location, and analyze the PCAP, use the check, Bro, any other software that you can choose, of course, like NetWitness and the others. Here are some results that we find in some customers, like this fancy host from Russia, making some requests in this file in .php, and we send this URL to the VirusTotal, and we got detection rate on 4. It's pretty low. Here is the DNS request that we made it. We made a script to use the VirusTotal API and send all of the hosts to the VirusTotal and said, what this host is dangerous, and VirusTotal showed to us.
In this case, it's very fun, because when you start parsing the data, I have a Windows machine with some solution, some antivirus solution. When I try to start the parsing, my antivirus, some generated
pop-up shows.
Yes.
Hey, you're sure?
And in the last of the day, when I try to check one by one, we can find some different files, and we can share with the community about the network, the antivirus. That guy, oh, we don't have that sample here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
To create
of course, we lost 0 days.
Yeah. But it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
We create a lot of signatures to antivirus information, of course, detecting that. Here is we collected some guy tried to exploit shell shock on the user agent. You can see more or less maybe in this slide.
That is a second part because in this case, we have, of course, we have tons of shell shock exploitation trials, and we have a good result with one guy exploiting a shell shock.
Shell shock, yeah.
And the exploited machine go to a botnet. And the
one try for you that who tried to exploit these botnets to mining Bitcoin. Of course, these were Chinese guys, guys.
And in the file have the private key from that guy, so you can join the botnet and see how it works. And of course, we can change the wallet. So. Yeah, it's very fun.
The botnet is very huge, like 4,000 machines or more, and growing up too fast. Of course, they are not exploiting just this bug, shell shock. They exploit a lot of bugs, but we got that shell shock exploiting. When we're going to analyze the botnet, we find exploiting shell shock, web application, SQL injection, and then maybe 10 bugs to create this huge botnet to mine Bitcoin. Here is some results to showing that POP credentials on the customers. This is really useful. Imagine a scenario in a pen test when you make the pen test on the customer and you get nothing useful to show on the pen test, but you got access to the Cisco router. And you start to sniffing, use this approach, and you get a lot of credentials, and you can use these credentials to pull off, like if your user put some weak password and something like that, and report to the customer about that, of course. This is more, here is the binary file that we're talking about with a pretty weak detect ratio that we send to a guy from that works, the employer from Assolini, I forgot. Assolini, Fabio. Kaspersky. That work on Kaspersky, and they send that sample to him, and this is a huge sample, we have a lot of information on this sample, thank you. And you can, this is the private key that Joaquim talking about the guy that's exploiting and create the Bitcoin botnet. We get a lot of results, of course, but we're showing some. Here, this screen, of course, you can just read the Beidou. Yeah, we find a lot of.
It's another fun thing.
Come on.
We have tons of. He have tons of customers around the world. So, I don't know why, but routers in Brazil, routers in Argentina, in Germany, in Afghanistan, Iran, always have some signature to Beidou.
Yeah, especially this host cpro.baidustatic.com. If you analyze this JavaScript here, cm.js, they change like every second. It's really, really good to avoid antivirus, but really strange because when we checked a lot of download again, and sometimes we get this JS script with exploiting vulnerabilities on browser, especially Internet Explorer, directly from Baidu. If you put this host on Google, you see how many hosts stay this host here. Is a lot of hosts with this script inside on the page all over the world. That's sad stuff. Here is another botnet from Brazil that storing from bank information here. We get this IP and access here, and these text files have a lot of information from machines that are infected with this botnet with bank information from the customers.
In this case, we have some fun because when you start to exploit the server, trying to collect the screenshots, log files, and it's all things in the server, because we have the FTP key, FTP credential. The guys that on the botnet, I forgot the word.
Tell me in Portuguese. They know it. They know it about.
They know about we inside the server and start to delete all files in in the FTP server.
Yeah.
In that case, we have tons of screenshots, bank account, credit cards. It's in this case.
Yeah, especially in the case I have a client in my job that's a bank, and we send the data, of course, to the customers to got it in this malware here to the bank, and the bank, of course, sorry the client, hey, you are going infected by this virus, blah, 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 and you have to change your password and something like that. But the guys from this botnet changed this botnet a lot of time because they see it that we're tracking him. And they change the IP like more 30 times, and you got every time they change the IP because we are sniffing on the router that or his malware are hosted. Here is we discovered a huge it's not malware, Juarez ERC server directly on the client. The client was hosting this malware server, this Juarez server here, and a lot of bots connecting to this ERC server to share files like movies, pirate programs like Microsoft, Adobe, and something like that.
Have good moves there.
What?
Have good moves there.
Here are some potential numbers from Mimosa. If you put on Mimosa, of course, you will not get access from 300 routers, just some statistics from that. If we put 300 routers, if we capture 1 megabyte per hour, 24 hours per day, in a year, and blah, 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 you can get this huge amount of information, like 2.5 terabytes of data. Just capturing 1 megabyte per hour, and this is huge.
And of course, if you have the Shodan Pro API, you can get more routers than...
We have concern about this code because it's easily create a worm using Mimosa, because if you're going to Shodan or if you scan the internet, you can find a lot of routers with weak passwords like Cisco 123465, this shit password. And if you add this on Mimosa, it's gonna be a huge worm like for sniffing some data. And of course, we not made that, just made some calculus some mathing to show how the potential of data we can collect it. And the filter from Mimosa here, we're going to add another device such as MikroTik and Juniper that we study, and we know that we have the same functionality.
The MikroTik and the Juniper have the same feature to troubleshoot, of course. And Juniper, it's a little bit better because the router have a HD.
Juniper is like more a server than a router.
Yes. So we try to work to add this support to the devices, and we are working a dashboard like I said before. Elasticsearch, Kibana.
It's like more Kibana, a dashboard to put all this data that we collected and showing in a web way that we can see the password, that you can see the order useful information in a fast old-fashioned way.
Of course, you can work with, in that case, you can work with metadata like IP X connect to IP Y in some country, in some position, you can work with that.
This is just the beginning, of course. You can upgrade a lot of stuff here. And we can put some attack to the Mimosa framework, like CVA, no CVA, of course, or brute forcing Cisco Router. We don't have this. In the second version, we're gonna put this brute forcing on the Mimosa, but not exploiting some old CVAs like Cisco and Juniper and MikroTik.
Of course, if you have some zero-day to privilege escalation, you can use.
Here is the GitHub that you can get Mimosa framework. It's an open source. It's a super easy script made in Python. It's not have some hacking ninja codes, of course. This is so easy to understand. It's so easy to get the concept of the...
It's a mess.
It's so easy to get the concept of this researching. And who code with Python, please share the code and contribute with us, of course. So thank you. That's that.
If you have some questions,
please
let me know. Of course, thank you. I would like to say thank you for the confidence crew.
Yeah, the confidence, Mateus.
Yeah, Mateus.
And the other guys here, and the NSA for their site, of course, because they showing a lot how to capture data, and surveillance information. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.